We're gathering around the table today with TJ Bogan. I heard him speak on two other podcasts and I reached out. And if you know me, I love Catholic trips, whether it's a Eucharistic revival or the mission trip I went on last summer, World Meeting of Families in 2015. So I'm honored to have TJ here. To start off, could you share a little bit about your background, TJ, where you're from? And in Chicago, we have deep dish pizza and Chicago style hot dogs. So I want to know, what's your city or state known for?
Oh, so I am in northern Indiana, and we're just about an hour and a half south of Chicago. So I love Chicago, but I like to go to Italy in
Oh,
Chicago,
yeah,
downtown. So yeah, go
that's
shop
so
on the
good.
mile
Yeah.
and go to Italy and get some good pasta, some cacio de pepe, and have some good sangria.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, no, that's
Tell us a little
awesome.
bit about yourself.
So I'm TJ Bogan, and I've owned Follow My Camino, and we take people on the Camino de Santiago in Spain. And our goal is to make it more Catholic and have a better experience than if you were to just go on a normal pilgrimage or a tourist tourist group. So yeah, that's what we do.
Well, what is the Camino de Santiago?
So the Camino de Santiago is the way of St. James. So St. James the Greater, as he spread Christianity out through Europe into Spain, they went to what they thought was the end of the earth at the time. And Santiago was the city that he was called back to Jerusalem, and then he was beheaded, and then the monks took him back. And so they have built a city around him, so Santiago de Compostela, and that walk, the walk of the way of St. James, the Camino de Santiago walk, is 2,000 plus years. We're talking our early, Jesus. He was one of Jesus's three amigos, we like to say, and so we know that people have always gone to go there to lay their intentions at the foot of the cross of St. James and to walk in the footsteps of an apostle. And so we love doing that. We love taking people these different routes that all come into Santiago and allowing people to have a very Catholic experience along the way, mass, prayer, fellowship, community, things that all Catholics are looking for, rather than being a tourist and being an actual pilgrim. So yeah.
And I don't know if, because you are the founder of Follow My Camino organization, ministry. I want to talk a
Yes.
little bit about that because now you lead pilgrimages there. Where did that idea come from, or how did that start?
Yeah, so my business partner and I, we had watched the movie The Way about 2011, 2012, and we were like, we want to go on this trip. And it wasn't until years later that I finally went. And when I went on the Camino, I had done a lot of research and just like everyone else, trying to answer, ask people and trying to figure out what's really truth, what's really fiction. And I realized that one, it's not inherently Catholic. And so even though we have St. James the Greater, the Apostle, right, walking and going into Spain and spreading Christianity, in today's world, you don't get that Catholic. The Catholicity just does not jump out at you. So finding church and going to mass, meeting other Catholics, just meeting people that want to talk to you, because a lot of people are, wanting contemplative time and they want solace, and that's great. But if you're walking 800 kilometers, you gotta, eventually going to talk to someone. And so I went on the Camino and I came home and I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I went back to Spain. I spent about 2.5 months in Spain, and just learning everything and getting some footing in the area. And then we just started taking people on the Camino. And our first trip was 6 years ago, and so we've been doing it every year and taking various groups, seminarians, priests, lay people, brothers, everyone and anyone going on the Camino. So it's been great.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're a convert to Catholicism. I love a good conversion story. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that, or
yeah.
has,
So I am a convert. So yeah, I grew up Southern Baptist, and it wasn't until my senior year in high school there was a little issue in the church, and I had a friend of mine that was going to a local parish, and I was asked to sing at Easter, an Easter vigil, and I went in there, and I'm sitting there setting up in the rafters of the church singing, and all of a sudden here comes 25 people walking down the aisle, and I was just floored by the beauty of the
Mm.
mass, the beauty of the church that this parish that I was going to, just a beautiful ornate church, Mary everywhere, and so at Christmas time and Easter, it's just so wonderful to go there, and so yeah, so then later on, years later, I converted and then been on this path for a long time now, so it's great.
Where you're
Yeah.
like, I want to be one of those people walking down the aisle. I want to get baptized and
I do, I
everything.
do, I do. I know. So yeah, God willing, yeah.
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 How has the Camino affected your faith?
Oh man, so going on the Camino really, when I went on the Camino, I was really needing some grounding. I just was, going through things and life's life, right? And all the things we go through. And so when I approached the Camino, I was really looking for that contemplative time, time to pray, time to just talk to God. I did a lot of journaling. We give people a journal so they can write in and prompt questions. And so, it was really for me coming back, it was really a good grounding 2x4 in the face of like, hey, you need to follow God in everyday life, right? And all the struggles and all the physical pain and the spiritual pain that you happen to go through on the Camino plays out in our everyday life. And so going on the Camino was really uh, gave me the ability to kind of figure out how to process that a little bit more, going to my spiritual director and saying, hey, this is what I experienced, this is what I want to do. And it really just was a really profound experience to be able to go to these churches that are thousands of years old and to see all the saints along the way, and then to go into the cathedral at St. James there in Santiago, and to go to the cathedral and just have that reverence and the beauty of the church, the beauty of the altar. If you've ever looked it up, the Santiago de Compostela Camino, or the altar there in Santiago, is just so, it's rich of gold, right?
Mm.
And we love gold in the church, but it is so wonderful. And it was just an awe experience. So when I got home, I was like, I really want this to be more Catholic, because the people that I met, even though some of them were Catholic, we weren't praying together every day. We couldn't find mass along the way. So then we were like, okay, we need some priests to go with us. So reaching out to local parishes, the priests that I know and priests from far away, and saying, hey, we want to walk this Camino and really make it more Catholic. So trying to be more intent and intentional on the things that we're doing. So morning prayer, evening prayer, doing the rosary during the walk, the Angelus, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, anything that we can do. And you can't do it all every single day in terms of, things come about, you start talking to someone or whatnot. But being able to just know that I can go into that sacred space, right? I can go into that space. And we love, one of the quotes that we put on our t-shirt is, it's solved by walking, by St.
Mm.
Augustine, is to be able to just be alone, be quiet, and to think in our own head, and to just allow God to just transform our heart, right? So that's
Yeah.
what we love.
Well, now that you just mentioned that, I used to say St. Augustine, but it's Augustine. One of my friends corrected me, and I think I should believe him because it's his confirmation
Florida
saint.
versus Europe, right? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So yeah.
But tell us, like, what are the benefits of walking? Or like, what does that quote mean from St. Augustine?
Yeah, yeah, it's solved by walking. So really, when you think about it, you're at peace with the fact that you're doing a physical thing. I was just talking to a bishop recently, Bishop Casey out of Cincinnati. Now he was in Chicago, actually. You might know him. And so he is in Cincinnati, and we were talking about this. Is there's a physical pain and a physical presence, and then there's a spiritual pain and a spiritual presence. And so when you're able to walk the Camino, you get to go through that transformation. There's a book Dietrich Van Hildebrand wrote called Transformation in Christ. And I just love that. Matter of fact, I think it's sitting right here on my desk. And it's all about being able to allow your heart to be transformed. But it's not only your heart, it's your mind, right? It's your mind, heart, and soul. And everything that we put forward into our faith, into the interactions that we have every day with people. And, you can come from the depths of despair and walk the Camino and come out in this just beautiful light of transformation. When you go through the physical part of walking, you're gonna be sore, your feet are gonna hurt, your back's gonna hurt, you're gonna be tired and hot and sweaty and all those little things. But when you think about it and you get into the spiritual part of it, you're like, God, thank you for letting me see the grandeur of the beauty of what I have in front of me, the ocean along the way that we walk, the mountains and the hillside, the churches, the people in the villages who are so sweet to us. We've made really great relationships. One of the places that we stop in is in La Covola, and it's a little albergue. And every time we see her, she is just so wonderful. She's always willing to help us with our bag and clothing and whatever the case may be. And it's the care that we experience along the way for they don't know us and we don't know them, but they are there to help us and to care for us. And you see that every single day. So the longer you walk and the more experiences you have on the Camino, the more rooted you are, and then that transformation just takes hold. And then you're able to bring that home and just continue to live that out through our faith. So yeah, it's great.
There's going to be a lot of walking on this. So how does one prepare to walk this? How long is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I always tell everyone is like if you can walk 3 to 5 miles a day for 5 days a week for about 3 months before your trip, then you're going to be good. The Camino is like an accordion. So with us, with our groups, because we really love the group dynamic. Yeah, I've walked by myself and I've walked in groups, small groups. I just walked with one lady in October. And so when you start out, everybody starts out together, and then there's this like accordion stretch, right? Where I might be 15, 20 feet in front of you or half a meter, whatever. But then we're going to stop at a rest stop and we're going to have coffee together or, orange juice or whatever the case may be. And then we're going to get back on the road again and we might separate. We might stay together a little bit longer. You're going to meet some people and they're going to pass you by, and that might drive you to kind of catch up. And then you're going to stop for lunch, and then you're going to go again. And then before you know it, you're in the town. And really, that starting and stopping is really good and healthy because we get to just appreciate the things that we're stopping for. Case in point is one of the things along the way is laying your rock in Cruz de Ferro on the Camino Francés or in Padrón on the Camino Portuguese, where we stop and we lay our rock down, and it's our intentions. We could spend an hour there. We can spend 20 minutes there. Whatever that time is, it allows everybody to come together, and we're saying a prayer together. People are crying, they're healing, they're looking for whatever it is and transforming. And that is just a spiritual thing that when you get to that point, and it takes days. I always say it takes about 3 days to get your sea legs on. But by the third day, you're really feeling the essence of the Camino. You're really seeing why the Camino has such a draw to be transformative if we let it. If our heart and mind are open to all the experiences, then we're going to be in a better place at the end of it, and especially when we get to go see St. James.
You mentioned that this trip is days. So what's the sleeping situation like? Are you camping, like just in a
No,
tent or a
no, no
sleeping bag?
camping, no hiking on the road and pitching up a tent. Those days are over. I would have loved to have been a pilgrim about 200 years ago and just seen what that looked like. That would have just been such a different experience than what it
Yeah.
is now. Now, we stay in hostels, we stay in albergues, we stay in the Parador, which is the grand hotel that you see in the movie The Way, when Martin Sheen goes and says, "I'll buy this time," and they're in their room and they all end up coming together. They're all in their individual room and they end up together because they just love being together. And so we stay in a Parador. We stay in a little bit of everything. We do stay in a hostel, a couple of them, but they're really dedicated to us. So we have a really great relationship with a couple that when we book it, we book the whole thing. So that way there's nobody else there. It's just our group. But you're sleeping in an individual twin bunk bed, and everyone's hearing everyone snore. But it's your group, it's your people, it's your Catholic people together, and everyone just loves it. It's such a great experience, and even the trials and tribulations that goes through of like, well, I couldn't sleep last night because so XYZ was snoring. Well, guess what? That's life, and you only had like maybe 1 or 2 nights of that. There are other people who have that every single night because they do stay in those communal hostels. We tend to stay away from the communal hostel because we just want people to be a little bit safer and feel safer, and that's why we don't do the 80 beds in a place. So yeah, but you can do that for sure. I've done it.
English. English. What's albergue?
So I always think of an albergue as basically like a dorm room with a bathroom, and you might have to share the bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's because that's pretty much what we have, and the names are a little bit misleading. You might see albergue on the sign, and it's an open bay concept. But then the next albergue you go to, it's like a dorm room where you and your partner or your roommate are there, and you have your own bathroom. So the word albergue traditionally has gotten kind of mixed with the way that they name their different entities that they have on the Camino.
And something that I wanted to talk about too, you said you're just going to hear everybody snore, and I want to talk about what's the bonding like between these pilgrims on the Camino. I went on a mission trip to California last summer, and I knew 1 or 2 people before the trip, and then by the end, I felt like we were just all family. And I overheard some of the leaders throughout the 6 days, and they were just like, everyone's getting along, and this is like such a big blessing. And we have like a college student, and then we had like people in their 70s. So just a huge age range. And we're in the group chat, like wishing happy birthday or Merry Christmas or whatever. And I just
It's the
love
same
that
thing.
bond. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So we create a WhatsApp group for everyone to be part of, and those WhatsApp groups are still going on today. We have Purdue students that went years ago, and they're all doing things in life, and they're like wishing everyone happy birthday. I miss you guys. When can we get together? So it's really great. And we have all ages. Our oldest has been 87, and our youngest has been 18. This year, we're actually dipping down into the family Camino age. So we're doing an 8-year-old and I think a 12-year-old this year. And so we're really getting into that family Camino. But to what you're saying about being in that bonded area of everyone, it really is an experience, for people that maybe haven't been in a dorm setting or a military setting and sleeping with a bunch of people. And this is their first experience of like, I'm going to sleep with someone I don't know. Yeah. And it's a virtue, right? It's a virtue to give up and just be able to just let go, right? And do that votive offering and just be like, okay, God, you got this. I've never done this before, but I know TJ said it's going to be okay, and it always is okay.
Yeah.
It's how we approach things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I did not sleep that whole week. My roommate didn't sleep, so I didn't sleep,
Oh, come
but
on now. It's not that bad. You can
no,
always put
no.
earplugs in.
Yeah. She just kept the light on though. She was just organizing her stuff, or she would get up for a run at midnight or what. I love her. I'm not trash talking to her or anything, but she
No, no, that's
she
good.
didn't
That's good.
sleep. So, how does one prepare spiritually for the Camino?
Yeah, so that's a great question that we get a lot of times. So we provide a series of books that we recommend about spirituality and pilgrimage. I give a pilgrimage talk on saints and pilgrimage. And so really for us, it's really about being open, your mind and heart being open, and either wanting to be transformed or looking for transformation of some kind, right? And really, when we think about that and we say, God, I'm going on this trip, please help me. There's a lot of prayer that needs to be done, right? So discerning correctly prayer, right? And saying, hey, is this really something that I should be doing or can do? Anyone can do it, and we make sure of that. But it's really about, hey, one of our trips is we go to Fatima first, and then we walk the Camino. And it's like, hey, a lot of people are like, I really want to go to Fatima, but I'm not so sure that I can do all the walking. Just having the open dialogue with us is really great because we go through all of this in all the meetings that we have. But spiritually, prayer, and then really doing some good discerning and really kind of just taking a step back and saying, why is this on my heart? Right? Why is the word Camino coming up in my daily life? And I hear this all the time. We get people all the time that's like, I've always been on a bucket list, but it's been coming up more and more and more and more. And the Camino has gotten popular as time has gone on too. But for some people, they've heard about it 20 years ago and they just never did it. And so when the word Camino or going on this pilgrimage comes to mind, that's probably a sign that God is putting something in your head to say, hey, this is what I want you to go do. But to approach that prayerfully and to look at it openly is really important. Some of the books that we give, and we give everyone a pack of books, is to say, hey, read these books and really do some contemplative time, right? Going into prayer, going into the hours, and really just spending time saying, hey, what am I trying to get out of this? And that's kind of how I would approach it spiritually. When I went, I was really trying to approach it spiritually. I was like, I really want to be more nourished in my life and what was going on. And so coming out of that, it will open the floodgate, right? It's like if you pray for patience, you're going to get tested. If you pray for the Camino, you're going to go. And so it's just all about, meeting them where they are and then us trying to help them as much as we can.
And there's a Camino Foundation, which is really cool. I'm going to let you explain that because you can do a better job than I can at explaining it.
Yeah. So once we started Follow My Camino, we then set up the Camino Pilgrim Foundation. This is where we put brothers, sisters, and seminarians on the Camino for free. And that's where we rely on donations for those in the pews. So when Aunt Sue has, her nephew Bobby, who's going to be a priest, that's an opportunity for her to donate to the foundation. It's a tax deduction. They get their tax letter instantly. But it's all about putting these kids and these people on the Camino. We're taking probably over 25 seminarians this year on the Camino. We have a group from the military. We have a group from Cincinnati going and a couple of others. So we're really happy that the Camino Pilgrim Foundation can be a vehicle to put them on there. But it takes us as the individual, lay people in the pew to donate to that, so that these guys can have a great experience. We took a brother last year from EWTN. I never get the what order he's from correct, but it's Mother Angelica's brothers in down there, and he went with his real brother. So he went with the order, and then he invited his real brother to go, and they just had such a great bonding experience because they didn't get to see each other because he's in an order, and so anything that we can do to put religious people on the Camino is really important. We've gotten some conversation with some of the sisters when we were at Seek the last year and this year. So we're really hoping to get some sisters on the Camino as well. So we're working through all of that. But yeah, the Camino Pilgrim Foundation is where those people that are religious and seeking religious life can go through the Camino, and they don't have to worry about paying because they're going for a different purpose and a different aspect. And so it's up to us to help foot that bill for them. So that's what that foundation is for.
Yeah. That's awesome that they get to go for free and experience that.
Yeah, and really what's awesome is these are the religious backbone of our faith, right? And so especially the seminarians that are going to be priests, and we want them to grow up and have the most experiences they can. And so when they get to go to Fatima and go witness Fatima, and whatever priest is going with them is going to preach, and then they get to go and do the rosary, they get to do the Marian procession, and then we go and we start walking the Camino. They get bombarded with the amount of people that will come up and talk to them, and that's really good for their discernment and their vocational life lesson, right? And it's going to make them stronger in the end. They're going to learn a little bit of Spanish along the way, so because not all of them, obviously know Spanish, but it's really good, and so it's fruitful. And it's a way to give back to these guys and women that are going to really be the backbone of our religious foundation. So that's great.
And you take the priest too, right? That's so important for mass.
Yeah, priests go for free automatically. Yeah, so when we have a group that goes, the priests go for free. Deacons go for half off. But the only thing we ask for the priests is that they do mass, and that's it. And they get to go. We take care of them. They get their own quarters. We never allow the priest to mix with anyone else. So we're very discreet in how we do the accommodations, so that we're upholding the highest standards along the way. And really, the priests that have gone with us, we've had Legionnaire, we've had Dominicans, we've had Diocesan. It's really great to see the depth and breadth of all of these priests going on the Camino, and the people that they don't know in our group that they get to know, and they're still, become friends, and then just how it helps them along the way. I've seen some great things come out of this, so it's been a real blessing for sure. It's a great apostolate for sure.
That's awesome. And you mentioned earlier you're doing the family Camino next year, but I also saw on your website that you're going to France to experience the solar eclipse, or that already happened?
No, that's this year.
Okay.
So yeah, so two things. Three things actually. One you forgot about was Assisi. So we have a pilgrimage to Assisi, and so that Camino is walking from Assisi to Spoleto. But what happens is they will come to Rome, and then we'll take them up to Assisi. So they'll spend time with Saint Carlo, Saint Clare, and Saint Francis. We'll go to the Hermitage. And then it's a free day in Assisi, day and a half really. And then we'll start walking, and we'll walk for 4 or 5 days to Spoleto. And just there's Castle in the Cloud. They'll go through Trevi and all these other towns. And then we get to Spoleto, and then we'll take the train back to Rome, and they'll spend 4 or 5 days in Rome going to all the major churches in Rome. And so us, Follow My Camino, and JMJ Youth Pilgrimage, we're partnered together to provide that trip. Then the one you mentioned about the solar eclipse is in August. So this year there's a total eclipse along the Camino. So in August there will be a total eclipse. So we're really hoping that people that are, adventurous and really want to go out and hike and walk and climb and everything, because we're going to kind of go up to a remote area and see this total eclipse. I think it's August 12th. And then the France, what was the other one? That was the
family Camino.
Oh, the family Camino. Yeah. So the family Camino will be next year. And so we are in the works with that, and we're really hoping that we get some people from Relevant Radio to go. So I'm going to hold off on anything else. But we are really working to try to get families to go on the Camino. We're going to go to Fatima, and then we're going to walk the Camino from Aguardia, which is one of the towns in Spain. So we'll go to Fatima. We'll spend a couple days in Fatima. Then we'll walk. We'll go to Santiago, and then afterwards we're going to go to Madrid, where we'll go see the palace and the cathedral and the Prada Museum, and we'll spend time in Madrid before we go home and just have a really great family experience built with Catholics in mind, priests going. So yeah, so that's our 2027 big trip that we're working on right now.
I went to Italy at the end of the year last year, and I feel like the churches in Italy, like I love the churches in America, don't get me wrong, there's some great churches, but those
Oh,
churches in
but
Italy
they're just
don't
day and
compare.
night.
They don't
They're just day
compare
and night. Yeah,
at
I
all.
mean,
They're
I've only seen a
crazy.
couple of churches in the States that have been close to what we see in Italy. When we were there for the beatification
I was
for
just gonna
Blessed
mention that.
Carlo,
Yeah.
or I mean the canonization for Saint Carlo, it was just great to be there with all the people that were there with us on the trip. But just going to all the churches, Mary Major, Saint John the Lateran, it's such a beautiful. I never get tired of going to St. John the Lateran. It's my favorite church. And so I just love it. I was there. I was in Rome 6 times last year. I'll be there in April this year. So yeah, it's a great experience. I encourage everyone to go on the Assisi Camino.
But Pier Giorgio Frassati was canonized the same time as Carlo Acutis,
He
right? So you were there
was.
for both of
Yeah,
them?
he
Okay.
was. And the
Okay.
great thing about that is Into the Heights from Seek really kind of plays into the Camino, right?
Yeah.
Um, Everyone I think was kind of, I would say hyper fixated, but they were fixated on St. Carlo, right? A
Mhm.
lot of people, especially the younger group. But it was really great. It was because it was an equal amount of Forsati and Carlo. And for us, they both represent the Camino, right? The heart of a young person and just being able to go out and experience life and not be afraid of anything. And Forsati, climbing into the mountains, right? Going where the disciples gone, St. James, right? And any other, St. Francis. So for us, it really is great. It's a culmination of everything that happened last year and everything that's going on this year with the Camino. So yeah, I think it pulled together great for
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. Seek's on my bucket list too. I have never been, but I want to go. After last year, it
Where
looks
do you
so
want to
great.
go?
Seek. Never been to a Seek
Okay.
ever.
Next year.
Yeah,
Next
next
year.
year, 2027
Okay.
or
All right. We'll
20,
make it
yeah,
happen. We'll
27.
make it happen.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I think that's all the things that I had to say or all the questions I had, but I don't know if you had any final comments or additional resources or what's the name of your website or where can people find you?
Yeah, so I would just encourage everyone to go to followmycamino.com. We have monthly call out sessions where people can just come and listen and learn about the Camino and listen to me talk, and we go through a presentation. Then the next one is February 26th, so it's coming up, I think, in a couple weeks
Yeah.
here. And then they can go out and just say, hey, I'm interested in a Camino. You can go for a very short period of time. You can go for a longer period of time. We do a lot of custom groups. So if you don't see something on the website of a time that fits for you, you just reach out and say, hey, I only have this time to go. Me and a couple of friends from our parish or our priest or deacon want to go. And we make everything happen. We have a lot of private groups that aren't even listed on the website going where, it's 32 people here, 25 people here. And really, it's what's great about that is that if you are like, hey, I really want to go on the Camino and these times don't work or I can only go in this time, we make all of that happen. We take care of everything for you. And we just love going with everyone. We have guides that will walk with you and teach you along the way and show you things that you wouldn't just normally see on your own. So yeah, and then the CaminoPilgrimFoundation.org is where people can donate to put seminarians on the Camino. And that really is needed to help these guys go. But yeah, those are the two websites. So followmycamino.com and CaminoPilgrimFoundation.org.
You just reminded me of another question. What's the
Yeah.
average size of a pilgrimage, a trip?
Oh gosh, it varies. I mean, I think an average good size is anywhere between 12 to 18
Okay.
people, because that's a really good sized group. And it depends if you're going to Lourdes or if we're going to Fatima or if we're going to Oviedo. We do have a group that's huge this year. We've got lots of large groups. We're never going to say no. Logistics are always a thing, but we handle all that. We handle all the logistics. So if there's a parish out there that's got like 50 people, we'll make it work. It's not a problem. But yeah, I think I would say 15, 16 is a really great number because you really do get a great bonding with
Yeah.
everyone. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I appreciate you coming on. This was so informative and it
No,
sounds
no,
so
thank you.
interesting.
Thank you.
Maybe one
Yeah,
day,
God
right? We'll
bless.
have to go on a Camino. It sounds so
Yeah,
interesting.
we'll get you on a Camino for sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome. All right. Thank you
All
so
right.
much. Appreciate it.
All right. God bless.